This is Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish, Lección número 8. The best way to learn Spanish is through large concepts and ideas, not through memorizing little isolated words. One idea well established in your mind will give you 200 verbs forever. And every time you use one of these 200 verbs, you become more automatic in the use of the other 199. Memorizing is dull and ineffectual. When you learn 20 verbs by rote, you are apt to forget most of them and be bored by all of them. You are annoyed by the fact that you have to sit down and toil over them, and they become your enemies. But when you invent a verb, it is your creation. You have made it, and you will always like it. You are probably saying, how can I invent a verb? Where do I start? Start with words that end in tion in English. Invitation, preparation, cooperation, imitation, continuation, recitation. Convert them into Spanish nouns by changing T to C as you learned in Lesson 2. Invitación, preparación, cooperación, imitación, continuación, recitación. Then you remove the ACION, like this, just chop it right off. Oh, moving up. Add acento for me and o for anybody else. The third man. Invité, I invited. Invitó, the third, invited. Preparé, I invited. Preparó, he, she, you, it invited or prepared. Corroboré, corroboró, I cannot say that. Corroboró. Imité, imitó. Continué, continuó. Recité, recitó. Never let a word fallow in your mind. The minute you have learned it, try to use it. The mental process of using the word makes it stay with you. Now let's take the above words and put them into sentences. You can do this on your own. Translate these into Spanish, but don't look, because these are the answers down here and you can check. There's an exercise in writing. Following is a list of nouns converted into verbs. Use a sheet of lined paper that has been divided into 3 columns. Cover up all but the first left-hand column below. Drop ACION from each noun in the first column. Are we out of focus here? Boop, stand by. Fixing. All right. Add for me or I, as in the second column, right here, first person, and write the verb in the first column of your sheet. Add O for anybody else, writing the verb in the second column of your sheet. Over here. Now check your 3 columns with the 3 right-hand columns below. So these are nouns converted into verbs in the past tense, and there are about 1 million of them. Okay, maybe not on this page, but it sure seems like it, because let's see, we've gone from A through I for a ton of verbs that you guys can use. 3 whole pages. 1, 2, 3, that'll finish out that. Now that you know the technique of changing action nouns into verbs, you're ready to begin working with speed. You can get the most advantage out of these verbs if you learn to form them in the flick of an eyelash. The best way to learn to change these nouns into verbs quickly is to look at the noun, remove acción, and add the letter in one quick mental process. Do not read the noun aloud, just look at it, change it as quickly as you can, and repeat the verb aloud. As you read the list of nouns, change each into a verb as quickly as you can. You will find that by the time you have reached the end of the list, you can change a noun into a verb in a split second. So we're going to do this in class. We're going to form some nouns into verbs, and then we're going to form some questions. Here we are, words to remember. Estacioné, estacionó. Hey, you should repeat after me. I'll wait a little longer between words. Entré, entró. Deposité, depositó. Instalé, instaló. Preocupé, preocupó. El dinero, el fonógrafo, la antena. ¿Dónde? ¿Quién? Enfrente de. Su. ¿Quién entró? Conversation. Can listen and repeat as well as you can. ¿Dónde estacionó usted su automóvil? Estacioné mi auto enfrente del banco. ¿Entró usted en el banco? Sí, entré en el Sí, entré en el banco. ¿Depositó usted dinero en el banco? Sí, deposité dinero en el banco. ¿Quién habló por teléfono esta mañana? Roberto habló por teléfono esta mañana. ¿Invitó usted a Roberto a su casa? Sí, invité a Roberto a mi casa. ¿Dónde estacionó Roberto su auto? Roberto estacionó su auto enfrente de mi casa. ¿Entró Roberto a su casa? Sí, Roberto entró a mi casa. ¿Quién instaló el radio en su casa? Roberto instaló el radio en mi casa. ¿Instaló Roberto la antena para el radio? Sí, Roberto instaló la antena para el radio. ¿Instaló Roberto el fonógrafo? Sí, Roberto instaló una combinación radio-fonógrafo. ¿Inventó Roberto el radio? ¡Ay, no! Eso es ridículo. Roberto no inventó el radio. ¿Quién inventó el radio? Marconi inventó el radio. ¿Tomó Roberto la cena en su casa? Sí, Roberto tomó la cena en mi casa. ¿Qué tomó Roberto para la cena? Roberto tomó un cóctel de frutas, sopa, roast beef, espárragos y una ensalada. ¿Tomó Roberto café? Sí, Roberto tomó café con crema. ¿Quién preparó la cena? Mamá preparó la cena. ¿Quién preocupó a mamá? Roberto preocupó a mamá. All right, and there's a sentence forming exercise that you may do. And the translation followed by the answers on the final page. That is the end of